All right. I think we've forgotten a lot of things about this, so let's dry up the tears and let's figure this out. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take each of these. I'm going to figure them out on their own. So here's my little thought bubble, because maybe that'll help us out. If I take 2x squared plus 2x minus 12, I need to factor this guy.
Common denominator. Wait,
There's
common
not,
factor.
common factor is what?
2.
Not 2x, because this guy doesn't have an x. And when I divide everything by 2, what do I have?
X squared.
X squared.
Plus X minus 6x.
And when you find that common factor and you reduce them accordingly, it makes the rest of the factoring very easy. How does this guy factor? Is wrong. Try again.
2 and 3. X minus 2.
X minus 2 and x.
X plus 3.
You know what? I'm okay with that. That's what it should be. There's nothing more I can do with that. Now, the other guy. I have x to the third plus 3x squared minus 4x minus 12. Okay. Is there a common factor for everybody?
No.
No. But this is one of these guys, excuse me.
Very good.
We got 4 terms, so we think we should be able to factor by grouping. In this first group, what's the common factor?
X squared.
Factor that out, and what do you have?
X plus 3.
What's the common factor in the second group?
Negative 4.
Minus 4. Factor that out, and what do you have?
X minus plus 3.
X plus 3. So, as we remember from factoring by grouping, x plus 3 is that common factor, so I'm going to factor that out front. And what am I left with?
X squared minus 4.
X squared minus 4. Am I done?
No. You bring down the 2, right?
How do I factor x squared minus 4?
X minus 2.
It's the difference of squares, so x plus 2, x minus 2. Do y'all agree? Now this was all in my thought bubble. How do I factor the numerator? How do I factor the denominator? So let's write what this guy equals now. Okay. In the numerator we have 2 times x minus 2 times x plus 3. What do we have in the denominator?
X plus 3. X plus 2. X minus 2.
X plus 3, x plus 2, and x minus 2. Now what can I do? X minus 2 is a common factor here and here. What else?
X plus 3.
And x plus 3. So what am I left with for my final answer?
2 over x plus 2.
All right, 2 over x plus 2. Can I reduce these 2's?
No.
2 is a factor here. The 2 is not a factor in the denominator. It's just a term of a factor. But 2 is a factor up here because I could write this as 2 times 1. But I cannot write the denominator as 2 times something. So that's why we're going to be done here.
Yay.
Well, you say it's a lot of work, but it's just because it took up a whole page.
Right.
But notice what you're doing here, though. The same steps that you would have had anywhere else. This is how you factor that numerator. Common factor, you finish that trinomial.
Because what I did when I started factoring out the top, I went, okay, 2x.
You went straight to 2 sets of parentheses, right?
Correct.
And when you do that, then you're not following the rules, so the logic that I've taught you will not apply. If you break this guy down as 2x times x, then you will end up having a common factor inside one of those binomial factors. But as long as you take out the GCF, you shouldn't have that. The rules, the logic that I've taught you only applies when you take out the common factor. Okay? And here, this guy isn't crazy. You factor by grouping to get this guy, and then there's that extra part where you take x squared minus 4 and you factor that guy. as the difference of squares. Okay. It looks like a lot, but I'm just taking two different factoring problems and putting them together in one. Yes, question?
What if it's x to the third minus 6? Do we have to do x plus 2, x minus 2, x plus 2?
If it was x to the third minus 6,
Yeah.
x to the third minus 6 does not factor using integer values.
Because I remember I had a question that it was like something like that, so I'll just leave it like that, right?
Right. See, this guy, if this had been x squared minus 3 or x squared minus 5, something that's not a square, I wouldn't have been able to finish it this way. But I do finish factoring these guys as far down as possible, and I cancel the common factors, and I end up with 2 over x plus 2.